Well, hello everybody. I'm Sheridan Gaenger, Director of Marketing here at Helpshift. Thank you so much for joining our first live webinar in our series to GDC. I'm thrilled to be joined by Sourabh Ahuja from VP of Android and Cross-Platform Development at Glue Mobile. Welcome, Sourabh.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Just a reminder that this is our first event in our 5-part series as we gear up for GDC in March. So before I get started, I want to cover a couple of logistics. This is a live Google Hangout. I am joining you from San Francisco, as is Saurabh, and we will be encouraging everybody on the call to participate using that Twitter hashtag, the new CRM. We have our Twitter experts working in the background to make sure that all of your questions and comments are addressed, and we will also cover them at the end of the event where we will cover some questions live. Also, this is being recorded, so if you have a friend or a colleague that can't make it, we will be sure to post it to all of our social channels after the event so that they can have a watch as well. So I think I covered everything, so I think it's time to get started. So, in today's world of mobile gaming, it's really about arming yourself. Acquire, retain, and monetize. Too many publishers try to monetize without creating the proper environment first. CRM is a key component of retention, making a player want to stick with you throughout the process to build a relationship. Saurabh, you're an expert in this space, and I see that you've been at Glue since 2003. So what is it about mobile gaming that is so attractive?
Yep, my LinkedIn page is pretty clean. So for me, I started fresh out of school. For someone fresh out of school, gaming is a very exciting market to be in. And Glue, with all our recent successes with Kim Kardashian and Deer Hunter and Terminator and Bond coming this year, we at Glue get treated as celebrities too, like the employees in the free-to-play business. So it's fun times. Mobile games, the reach is second to a social network. So can't be anywhere else. It's very exciting times.
Well, thank you so much. That's a great story, and I'm happy to be a part of this world now as well. So we're here today to uncover why developers and gaming companies shouldn't just be thinking about the number of app installs when launching a game. We also need to think about engagement with their free-to-play players. Why do you think companies tend to jump the gun and simply look at the number of monthly active users as their benchmark for success?
So, install and MAU, monthly active users, are very important, right? But you can have a successful launch, but if you don't retain or engage your users effectively, that MAU is going to go away. It's going to drop fast. If you don't pump enough content into your game, it's going to go away fast. So it's important, but not as much as retention and engagement. So you got to keep them in there for a long time.
Great. That kind of showcased the level of the love-hate relationship with the free-to-play model. It also can show that mobile gaming can be fun and frustrating for users as well. So how can companies think about putting that fun back into the client relationship, back into that user engagement?
Yes, it's very action-packed, has its ups and downs, mostly fun. At Glue, we have a very active social team, product team. The social team, they're always running these campaigns on Facebook and Twitter, encouraging users to participate, giving them real items like gifts and t-shirts. And sometimes we even do campaigns, we kind of ask the users of what kind of car they would like to see next in Racing Rivals, for example, and have them contribute. And I think users like that, and the fans like that. We use tools like your tools, like the Helpshift, to now engage more with our users, take care of their problems promptly, and that also helps keep them happy. Beyond that, we're active on forums as well, like our product team, social team, always monitoring complaints, any kind of suggestions to incorporate in updates. So all of those are very important. You have to look at your reviews, always stay on top of your product. Like, 24/7 live games. You have to make sure everybody's happy. Don't get satisfied with 4.4, 4.5. Just aim higher.
Great, great. That definitely addresses how kind of the landscape has changed. Before it was all about just I want that 5-star ratings. I don't care what I have to do. I just have to get it. And you just uncovered the fact that it is all about putting your user first. What is in it for them? How can I help them on a day-to-day basis? How can I support them? How can I provide them the information they need to be successful using the game? So that kind of leads me into my next question. The App Store landscape has changed dramatically since its birth. At the beginning, it was mostly filled with paid apps, paid games. And now some companies have started getting their feet wet with the freemium model. And usually it's a not as tricked out game, and you definitely don't get everything that a paid user would get. So the thought process behind this was to reel folks in, get them addicted to the game, get them happy, get them really enjoy using it, telling their friends about it, and then start teasing them with that upsell of the better game. So why do you think that this strategy has changed, and how should companies be thinking about this new model of free-to-play?
So free-to-play is the way to go, in my opinion, in our company's opinion. Our CEO went all in with free-to-play 5 years ago, and it has worked out very well for us. I will say not much has changed. Free-to-play still works, and as you can see from the top grossing, I think 99% of the top grossing games are free-to-play. What has changed is the ways to monetize free-to-play game have gotten more sophisticated. The pure hard upsell model of like, hey, get to this point and then buy does not work. And also the demo style of it does not work that well either. That you can have 2 levels and then buy. You kind of have to get crafty with your monetization. There are ads. There are actual even within app purchase. Don't put a hard paywall. I think it has to be more like people feel the need to buy that item because they want to do better in the game, versus, oh, I can't make any progress because unless I buy this level pack.
Got it, got it. So how does this tie into the cross-platform strategy? And maybe you could share a little bit about Glue's secret sauce on cross-platform strategy.
So cross-platform, that's my wheelhouse. That's what I do for Glue, and I will have to say it is very important, and so that I keep my job. And also, I think it's key. Like, of course, there's the 2 big players, right? They are we all know who they are, and there's Facebook, there's Amazon, and the more users you have, like if you're making a social and a competitive game, the more users you have, the better it is for your game. So you have people who find other players to play with, and we have seen in our games when we bring on new platforms, all of a sudden the revenue goes up across all of the platforms because all of a sudden like there are a new set group of players everybody can engage with. And it's just the revenues across these platforms that are warrant that we support them.
So what would you say if a gaming company is thinking about building out a cross-platform strategy? What are the initial challenges and benefits of going with such a strategy?
So definitely, I think, like I said, there are a few challenges, but benefits outweigh the challenges, of course. But the challenges are syncing release timing. Apple has its own schedule of approving bills. Google does not have one. Amazon, there's Facebook. So that's the one challenge. And there is device fragmentation, different OSs, different phone speeds. But if you use a good game engine, you have good in-house tech. These things are not that hard to conquer anymore. So the benefits definitely outweigh the challenges, and you can figure it out. Use Unity, use Coco. There's some good game engines out there which help you get to the initial step, and then it's just about trusting strategy.
Great, great. That's definitely some good tips there. So let's talk about numbers. People like numbers, upper management like metrics. What are some of the key metrics that you consider when evaluating the success of a free-to-play game?
Free-to-play game like retention, engagement, and downloadability is huge. So I will always recommend that check to see if try to evaluate your market potential for your game. Will it download well, right? Before you even start building it. Then focus on building the game. and look at the trends, follow the trends, check out Annie, like see what's working for other people, play a lot of other games. And like I said before, don't try to put a hard upsell, don't try to do the demo model, try to keep people engaged, get them addicted that they want to spend money in your game. And after that point, you have to, once you have a successful game, you were able to retain and engage for the first couple of months, you need to have a very clear content strategy. Keep pumping new content into your game, because if people get to the end of the game and they don't have anything to do, there's a lot of other games out there, and once they're distracted, they might not come back. So I think that's the key, and all of it revolves around keeping your users happy, like making sure you're looking at what they want, what they need, and that doesn't, it goes even outside of reviews and Helpshift, even actually like looking at the analytics system we have on our back end to see where they're getting stuck and where most people are dropping off. All that stuff is important.
Great. That, the success part is just one piece of the puzzle. And you started to touch on the next one, which is that support piece. So how do you manage or maybe even organize your support to provide a seamless user experience in cross-platform games like Deer Hunter and Kim
So Facebook Connect is still the winner when it comes to getting the seamless cross-platform gaming, because everybody has Facebook, whether it's Kindle, whether it's on their desktop, Apple, Google. So that's definitely the way to go. And we Racing Rivals, actually, not Deer Hunter or Kim Kardashian, is our best example of a true cross-platform game where you can take your progress across all of the platforms, you can actually play and compete, but we are aiming to take all Glue games going forward to that model, so we maximize the revenue potential from all of the platforms.
Great. So maybe this is a good time to cover kind of the split. So in terms of monetization, how do you kind of, decide between app purchases and advertising revenue? Like, where does it fall? How do you think about that?
So we have a decent chunk of our revenue coming from ads. Encourage everybody to listen to our earnings release to figure out how much. But other than that, we have an actual clear strategy, advertising strategy, and we have monetization experts at Glue. We have ad revenue optimization experts, and there's a very clear line. We have a strategy, like it could range different for every game, but it could be like, don't show ads to players, or don't show ads until the user has engaged for quite some time and is not turning into a payer. So that's where all of these strategies kick in, and they change all the time. There's a lot of new mediation ad networks out there that will help you optimize your ad revenue. So you can look into those as well. But more importantly, like it's not one size fits all. You kind of have to go game by game and see, because you can have a game where it downloads really well, has a very big daily active user base, but doesn't monetize the YIP that well. For that one, you can try to go a little heavy with ads. But if you have another hardcore game where most people pay, then you can go a little lighter on ads and focus on the app.
Great, that was very informative. I definitely learned something with that question, so great answer, thank you. It's natural that we probably should address marketing. As you just said, not all users are the same. That's something that we here at Helpshift are always talking about it in terms of our strategy. So marketing can't be 100% streamlined because of that. So it makes it a little bit tougher. So ultimately, how can marketing work with this strategy? How can companies integrate their support and care with their drive to really market to the masses?
So I think we get the users involved very early on. Like it starts with focus groups, alpha testing, then we do beta testing in certain countries on certain platforms, and every step of the way we're like closely monitoring what people are reacting to. Like the moment we looking at going from their facial expressions to looking at their data to see how well the game is being received and how well it's monetizing and retaining. That's where the users are involved all the time. Then we go from that to using tools like Helpshift and the in-app chat feature, like getting like more responsive, listening to the users. We are able to now segment them based on how important they could possibly be, right? In terms of, oh, this guy is spent upwards of $100. So let's raise his problem because he's a fan, he likes the game, let's hear him out. You can't, of course, cater to everybody's needs, but it's important. So we go from all the way from the green light process to throughout, like actually listening to the users, having focus groups, seeing what they're doing, like leaving them in a room, like let them play the game and see how they're reacting. So it's key.
Yeah, it really addresses the need to have that 360-degree view of your customer at all times to make sure that you're giving them the care and the relationship that they need to be successful. And as you said, not leave the game. So let's talk about monetization. These mobile gaming companies, such as Glue, know what they're doing. You guys are making games that are entertaining, that people are downloading by the masses, they're award-winning, and have solid retention. But where the majority of the companies that aren't there yet and what they're struggling with is that monetization piece. At Glue, how are you guys approaching this hurdle? How are you getting users to go from free to play to pay?
So I think we're fortunate to have some really good monetization experts in-house, and I think that's key. Of course, talent is key in anything. And like I said, we also have ad revenue experts. So these guys sit there with our business intelligence team and are constantly evaluating what's working, what's not working, funnels, where are users dropping off, are we giving out too much currency and charging too little for users going from a level to level. You have to do all of that to actually be able to monetize because it cannot look too pushy. And if that happens, we hear about that in the reviews. So it's important to have that fine balance. And once you get a somewhat successful game is downloaded well, got high up in the rankings, because getting more installs starts to get expensive once that initial launch is done. So you have to keep your players happy. You have to keep giving them more content every time you see it. That again is driven by the business intelligence, where you see, okay, I see most players have now reached to the end of the game. I better put out some more content, or they're going to drop off and might not come back because they'll find some other game they like.
Great. So you just started kind of addressing this role that community plays in this industry. Gamers are such a unique niche of people. They talk to each other, they share stories, they share tips. So how do you view these real gaming social communities in terms of helping with this monetization strategy?
I think they're very important. Like I was saying, for games like Racing Rivals and other games we have had at Glue, we have seen how if you have compelling co-op play, it goes a long way, and people will team up from all over the world. And then we of course know, the games which work in Asia are also very, the RPG and co-op, and they talk. Japan, Korea. So if you want your game to succeed there, it's the key. At Glue, we're always thinking about that, like we have it in our games, and I think that's the way to go. We're thinking about even having in-app forums instead of having web forums, and maybe Helpshift can help us with that in their next product cycle. But that's definitely the way we're going. Like we want people to engage, the communities to form, and with any kind of social. We've seen this blow up, like even with Kim Kardashian, like just posting selfies with hashtags, and they're all out there, and people love that.
Great, great. So the nature of this industry is that some games will win and some games will lose. It's not about luck. You really just outlined the strategy of this model, and it works. So the market is going to continue to evolve. New companies are going to prop up and start launching new games. So in your experience, kind of what do you think the next big thing in mobile gaming? I know that you and I kind of started talking about wearables. Do you think that's kind of where this industry is going?
So first, I'd like to give props to our CEO, and also like to Glue team in general. Like with the Kim Kardashian Hollywood, I think we started a new genre of game and showed to the world how you can make a lot of money from it. So I personally think that is going to be the big thing in 2015, where you're going to see a lot of celebrities, a lot of big movie games. I mean, we're making a few of them, and hopefully you'll see a few more, Terminator Bond and a few which I can't name. So that to me is definitely what I think, because big problem is downloadability. Like you get a big license now, and it's coming back kind of how it was in feature phone days, but in a different way with different deal structures, which is not where it's working now for both parties. So definitely, I think that's the next like boom in 2015 from all these movie games and celebrity games. Um, Apple and Google, they realize as well, like what they need to do, like, and they're bringing on every day new payment methods across the globe, and I think that is definitely going to add to the bottom line in a decent way. Wearables. I think that's exciting. I've been going to CES the last 2 years, and I see how I've seen the wearables boom myself. A little more fitness this year, but I think for us, it's like they're not quite there yet in terms of volume. But when we evaluate a platform, we look at cutting edge, coolness, platform relationships, like actual possible target audience. So we won't be left out when the next iPhone is here. So we want to make sure that we're there and we're always experimenting. We did a Google Glass game, and we've done plenty of smart TV projects, and we will keep doing that outside of our, within our core business. Even though there's no direct monetization benefit now, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Great, and I'm sure at the GDC conference we will be introduced to a lot of new things and new technologies that'll carry us into the new year. So this has been absolutely great. I know that I've learned a lot. I hope that our audience has learned a lot. But before we open up the discussion, and we definitely had some questions coming in through Twitter, I want to ask you, what are your closing thoughts for our audience? Or if you wanted to say if any sort of homework that they should be thinking of after this event, what is your advice to the people on the call today?
I think the main advice will be like the ways to make money from free to play have grown a lot. We have a lot of companies out there helping with ad monetization. So I recommend everybody to get creative with ad monetization. And honestly, we still only have single-digit percentage in terms of the total user base who are paying. The potential to me is huge. So I will focus energies on figuring out how we can convert, like as people get comfortable paying that $2 versus like buying a drink for $11 or going to a movie for $19, like it's just $2. And that's gonna happen. And I think then you're gonna see those single digit 4 or 5% of the total gaming population paying to go to 20, and that just multiplies out everything by 4 times. So I think it's a lot of potential.
That's great. That's great. So I'm going to take this opportunity to ask our audience, if you do have any questions, please use the hashtag #TheNewCRM. We have our team working in the background to make sure that those questions are answered. But I do have a couple here that I'm going to get started with. Is there a best practice when prioritizing platform development?
Yes, there is, and it also depends on, again, who your target audience is. For example, if you're making a game which will work really well in Asia and targets Japan, Korea, and Chinese gamers, then it's a good idea to focus on Android first and doing your beta testing process and making sure, because that's where the niche market is. And other than that, I think for any other game, you can do both at the same time if you want, or actually start with one during beta testing. But the key is that you need to prioritize all of the winning platforms simultaneously. And I do, for the last 3 years, we release everything at the same time on Google Play and on App Store, and we're going to keep doing that because both of them are equally important. And we see that the social, the users get so mad if we will put out a game on one platform and not on another. It's just our Facebook page gets blasted with really bad words, so we don't ever want to be there. It's just where's my Android version? So prioritize both of them equally.
Great. The next question coming in: when you started testing avenues to monetize, what were some of the initial questions you had?
So it depends again. In-app purchase is very obvious, right? But then there's video ads, interstitial ads, offers in the game, incentivized offers. So for everybody who approaches Glue and says, hey, here's what we can do for your question is, what's your ad demand? How much can you fill? Like, and we share our information with them in terms of like, here's how many ad impressions we can get you. And then we look at their eCPMs and we have to compare them with what we have like currently and see if it's a big enough differentiator for us to invest into something new. Because we have a portfolio of 30, 50 games, and if we want, it's a big endeavor for us to switch across the board. So we always experiment in 1 or 2 games, see if something works, and if it works, then we go across the board. Otherwise, move on.
Okay, great. Another question here. Do you have any advice on choosing a game engine? I know you addressed it a little bit, but any other thoughts on that?
There's a plug. Unity is, of course, a winner for Glue, and I think they've done a pretty good job in terms of their cross-platform, covering all the platforms out there, including even Facebook. And but if you're making a lightweight game, Coco 2DX is also a good solution, and their cross-platform also works pretty well. So we have games on both of those engines, and I think there's a lot of like Unity is so big now that in terms of like even ad networks and Google, everybody puts out Unity plugin for their for all the third-party components. So it makes your life a little bit easier. But if you're making a 2D game, maybe Coco 2DX can also serve.
Great, thank you so much. Well, that about wraps up the Q&A portion of the event. We still encourage everybody on the line, if you think of questions later today, please use the hashtag #TheNewCRM, and we will be sure to connect with you online. Thank you so much for joining us today, Saurabh. It was an absolute pleasure. I know as somebody who's new to this industry, I've learned a lot. I hope our audience has learned a lot. This is our first part series in our roadshow to GDC. So to everybody on the line, our next event will be next week, January 29th. I'll be hosting Amir Abrahimi from Luminary to discuss how to launch a game successfully. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Any last closing remarks?
No, I had a lot of fun too. Thanks for having me, and I'll see everybody at GDC.
We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.